feel that we are well protected and ready to address any issue that may occur. We'll turn our attention back over to the Commissioner.
Thank you. Any questions, concerns? All right. Now I'm going to call Terry. Terry's going to come and provide the moment of reflections. Terry Torrance.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, President Gross on the phone. Welcome, Commissioner Chapin, Mayor Dyer, and Clint. My name is Terry Torrance, and I have the distinct honor and pleasure to lead us in a moment of reflection in the month of January. In preparing for this, I did a little research of the days that we celebrate or recognize in the month of January. Interestingly enough, there is something to celebrate every day, and some of them are a little more obvious than others. One of the ones that I thought was quite interesting is January 2nd is Swiss Cheese Day. January 10th is Houseplant Appreciation Day. January 18th, Gourmet Coffee Day. January 31st, Eat Brussels Sprouts Day. But if you look for it, there's something to celebrate every day. But January serves as a new year and an opportunity to reflect on the last year and to start anew. Perhaps set some goals, whether they be personally or professionally. And then there's Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday. Dr. King was born in Atlanta on January 15th, 1929. He became a pastor by the time he was age 19. He married Coretta Scott King in 1953, and they had 4 children. Reflecting on Dr. King could go on for hours. His profound impact on the world is still felt today. For his short 39 years on this earth, Dr. King's legacy still shapes the world we live in. I will end my moment of reflection with one of my favorite quotes from him. Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. Dr. Martin Luther King. Thank you and have an excellent meeting.
Thank you. All right. And now we will call Maggie Burdett up. Maggie is going to come forward and lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance. We're so thrilled to have her. Maggie served in the U.S. Navy for 10 years, achieving the rank of Petty Officer, 2nd class. She's worked at OUC for 5 years and currently holds the title of Director of Business Process Management and Optimization. I'm going to ask that everyone would please stand and join us in our Pledge of Allegiance as Maggie leads us forward.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Time is now 2:05, and I officially call the January 24th, 2023 Commission meeting to order. I'd like to acknowledge we have a quorum present here this afternoon, and President Gross will be participating via telephone on today, and so thus, in my role as First Vice President, I will preside over the meeting for today. I would like to welcome and recognize Roger Chapin as our new Commissioner. On January 9th, 2023, the City Council confirms his appointment to the board, and so Roger, we welcome you and look forward to working with you on this board.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Our item on the agenda now is consideration of the December 13th, 2022 pricing workshop minutes. I'll entertain a motion to waive the reading of the pricing workshop.
Second.
And I think they're in a hurry. So we have a motion from our mayor and a second from Commissioner Calvet to waive the reading of the pricing workshop minutes and adopt them as published. Is there any discussion? If there is no further discussion, we'll take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Motion passes. Same thing next on the agenda is a consideration of the December 13th commission meeting minutes. I'll entertain a motion to waive the reading of the minutes and adopt them as published.
So moved.
We have a motion from Commissioner Calvet and second, was that Mayor? From Mayor Dyer to waive the reading of the commission meeting minutes and adopt them as published. Is there any discussion? No further discussion. We'll take a vote. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. All right. Well, we're moving right now. Next on the agenda item is our election of officers. It's one of the prime reasons why we meet in January is for this very important agenda item here. And so I'm going to accept nominations for the various board positions that we have, and I'm going to ask any one of the commissioners to abstain from voting on their own nomination. So begin. I need a motion to reappoint Britta Gross as president of our Board of Commissioners.
I nominate Britta Gross for president.
I second the motion.
All right, it's been moved and second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We'll need a nomination for nomination of the first vice president to reappoint myself.
I nominate Larry Mills for first vice president.
Second.
Any opposition? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes. I need a motion for a nomination of second vice president, and we're moving to appoint Roger.
I nominate Roger Chapin as second vice president.
I second.
It's been moved by Mayor and second by Commissioner Calvet to nominate Roger Chapin for second vice president. Any opposition to the motion? If not, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Now, I need a motion to reappoint Clint Bullock as General Manager and Chief Executive Officer and Secretary of the Commission.
I move to reappoint Clint Bullock as General Manager, Chief Executive Officer, and Secretary of the Commission.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second to reappoint Clint Bullock as our CEO, General Manager, and Commission Secretary. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Clint, I'm going to now defer to you for our other recommendations.
Thank you, Commissioner Mills. I would like to recommend Chris Browder, Mindy Bernay, and Paula Velasquez be appointed as Assistant Secretaries.
I need a motion to approve Mr. Bullock's recommendation as stated.
So move.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second to receive Mr. Bullock's recommendations. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Clint, will you continue?
Yes, sir. Without objection, Commissioner Mills will serve as Chair of the Audit and Finance Committee, with Commissioner Calvet as first Vice Chair, Commissioner Chapin as second Vice Chair, and President Gross as a member.
Are there any objections? There's no motion or vote required for this. Hearing no objections offered, we accept those recommendations and we proceed on.
Thank you.
At this time, we're moving into our award section, and we have no service awards this month, so we'll proceed with the community recognitions, beginning with Ms. Ferrone. Linda, will you please come and present the first community recognition award?
Good afternoon, President Gross, Commissioners, Mayor, and Clint. I'm really happy to share some exciting news with you about yet another national customer survey in which OUC placed first amongst electric utilities. This survey was conducted by the human and behavior analytics firm Escalent. It is their Cogent syndicated 2022 Utility Trusted Brand and Customer Engagement Residential Survey. That's a mouthful. But it did engage over 75,000 residential customers across 141 utilities nationally. The purpose of the survey is to identify the customer champions, which utilities are recognized for their communication engagement efforts focused on helping customers save energy and manage rising utility bills. Only 37 of those 141 utilities were recognized as customer champions, and I'm proud to say that OUC earned the #1 spot among electric utilities as we achieved that highest score. This really is indeed a great honor, considering that 2022 was a difficult year. It was one in which our customers incurred 3 separate fuel rate increases while dealing with other financial pressures really brought on by a challenging inflationary economy. It speaks to the importance that we place on valuing our customers, and our customers recognize this. In 2022, our customer experience team, our community engagement team, and our communications team, they partnered together to launch a multifaceted campaign that sought to educate our customers on energy conservation, methods and efficiency programs, rebates, and the payment options and bill payment assistance that we offer. Then over the summer, this collaboration initiative resulted in the creation of a comprehensive online resource. It was ouc.com/ways to save. That included information on our rebates, details on programs like Efficiency Delivered, conservation tips, and a hot weather energy guide. Then when we knew another rate increase was on the horizon in the fall, we launched Partnering Together. That program was an outreach effort focused on our alternative billing programs like Power Pass and budget billing, and our payment assistance program, Project Care. And we even provided more information on our community partnership programs. In fact, we provided information on OUC's programs to share assistance, but also community partners like the Christian Service Center and Seniors First, and their programs and what they provide. Kind of a one-stop shop, if you will. The media communications were shared across all of our digital channels, including paid media, our blogs, our monthly newsletters, as well as media outreach, every way that we could think of to engage our customers. As you're aware, our energy auditors are often on the news, and we really strive to continue to build awareness and help educate all of our viewers on our conservation tips and all of these programs. And of course, as the weather changed and it became cooler, our communications turned to cold weather tips. As I alluded earlier, we placed first in other national customer surveys as well in 2022. We finished environment amongst electric utilities and Escalent's most trusted brand and the environmental environmental champion surveys, both of those. The fact that our customers hold OUC in such high regard, it truly is an honor, is a compliment to you, commissioners, and to everyone that works at OUC. We couldn't be more proud. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's a great honor. We have another award as well, and so I'm going to call Lemoyne Adams up to tell us what second award we got for the community.
Thank you. I am proud to share that OUC is the recipient of a 2022 Restoring Communities Award from the Florida Municipal Electric Association, or FMEA. The award recognizes 25 Florida public power utilities for either providing or receiving mutual aid following significant weather events or emergencies, or providing exemplary service to their community following emergency situations. As you know, in times of emergencies, public power utilities call on each other for emergency workers and supplies through mutual aid agreements coordinated through the FMEA. The 2022 hurricane season will be remembered as an active season in Central Florida. First with Hurricane Ian, and then 6 weeks later with Nicole, both impacting our service territory. Both storms presented different challenges in our preparation and restoration efforts. During Ian, our community faced widespread flooding that complicated our restoration efforts. And Nicole's fast-moving track tested our preparation process as well. Combined, both storms impacted our service territory with more than 125,000 peak power outages and 7 water main breaks. However, in true OUC fashion, we served our community as safely and quickly as possible in their time of need. In less than 4 days following Ian, we had 99% of our electric customers back on and water breaks repaired. After Nicole, our OUC team restored electricity to most of our customers that same evening. The efforts to restore normalcy following a storm requires unwavering dedication and teamwork among our employees and mutual aid crews. During Hurricane Ian, OUC received 276 mutual aid workers, 162 line techs, 49 tree trimmers, and 65 damage assessors. All but 21 line techs and 65 damage assessors were from out of state. These workers left their families and traveled thousands of miles to come to our aid. We're especially grateful for those out-of-town crews who worked 16-hour days to get the lights back on. As the term implies, mutual aid is mutually beneficial to partnering utilities. And 1 year ago in January 2022, OUC deployed two 11-member crews to North Carolina and South Carolina to assist with power restoration efforts in the wake of two winter storms led by Darren Boatwright, line supervisor, and Spencer Barnes, line supervisor, who requested to lead his final deployment before retiring a month later after 35 years of service at OUC. So I would like to extend a thank you to each member of these crews who stepped up and partnered together to help those in need. These deployments are unique as OUC rarely responds to winter storms. They also came on the heels of cold weather drills we implemented as a result of Winter Storm Uri that impacted Texas in February of 2021. OUC has sent crews across the Gulf Coast to assist other communities with recovery in the aftermath of hurricanes. And we've also aided our fellow Florida public utilities following significant weather events, which is what public power is all about, neighbors helping neighbors. The Restoring Communities Award is a testament of the unmatched dedication of municipal utilities and the communities that they serve. I would like to applaud our employees for their tireless effort to ensure OUC had a successful restoration response. This award is a direct result of your hard work. Thank you.
Thank you.
If we can get a photo first. Vice President. Is the award here? Of course. All right. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Congratulations. All right. Thank you all. Those are two great awards. And let her know that I appreciate she didn't make me stand on my tiptoes. All right. She adjusted real quick. All right. As we move to affirmative actions, action, that's the HR piece coming out of me. Affirmative items on our agenda. We have 28 affirmative items there. And before we move, do we have any requests from the public?
We do not.
Okay. Well then, of the 28, I'm sure, Clint, do you have any comments or presentations regarding any of the affirmative items at this time?
I do, Commissioner Mills. Thank you. There are three items I would like to highlight for the board here today. I would like to ask Jan Asseru to come to the podium. I'm going to go a little bit out of numerical order, if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to start with affirmative item A10. You may remember that Jan came to the board to give an update related to this purchase of power agreement. Based on the U.S. Department of Commerce, we had to slow down the project. We had to revisit supply chain issues, and ultimately we ended up in an amended and restated agreement with NextEra. I'm pleased to say we're back on track. Jan's going to give you an update on some of the change to the cost as well as to the schedule. But again, we're excited to get this project back going, another 149 megawatts. We all know how expanding solar is important in our electric IRP. So with Jan, I'll ask you to give an overview.
Thank you, Clint. Good afternoon, President Gross on the phone, commissioners and mayor. So I'm going to move on, and also I'm going to state what slide we're on for the benefit of President Gross. So we're going to move on to slide 2 and start out by providing a background. Kind of Clint touched on it, but I'll give you a little bit more information. So you initially approved this for OUC to enter into these PPAs, power purchase agreements with NextEra, a little bit over 2 years ago, December of 2020. for a total of 149 megawatts, two projects, 74.5 megawatts each. The names of the project, based on the approval, we negotiated for Harmony 2. We already have a Harmony 1 in place, and I'll show that in a little bit, and Story Bend. Those were the two names of the projects. Again, everybody pretty excited that, this moved us in the direction that we want to move with increasing our renewable portfolio. The designs for the solar projects were, they have been completed. Permitting is well underway, probably pretty much completed by now. And initially, the contracted commercial operation date was to be December of 2023, right? So if we fast forward to May 10 of 2022, I provided the first update to the board on the status of the projects. So what had happened? We were seeing cost and schedule impacts, as Clint mentioned, for two main reasons, two main drivers. One was supply chain disruptions and inflation, and the second was that the U.S. Department of Commerce started an investigation on possible circumvention of tariffs regarding Chinese-made solar panels and modules. That investigation, because the results of the investigation can be retroactive, so it brought the industry to a halt. About 80% of the industry came to a halt of fear that, any penalties would be retroactive, and so that was quite a impact on the industry. So at that time, we didn't have much information regarding schedule and price. We knew we were going to have impacts, but we told you that we would come back and update you. So the second update was July 12 of 2022. By then, we had a pretty good idea that we were looking at a 1-year delay, and we informed that to the commission. We revised the commercial operation date to December of 2024. But what we had clarity was that the Biden administration on June 6 declared a 24-month moratorium on the tariff. So basically, regardless of what the Department of Commerce concluded, there was going to be a 24-month moratorium, no retroactiveness to any penalties and what have you, and that got the wheels going again with the solar industry. But even then, on that commission meeting, we still did not know for sure what the price impacts would be. And that's why we're here today. We know what those impacts will be. We still think it's two great projects. And we're going to move President Gross to the third slide. Can she see this? Do I have to tell her what slide? I'll say it. I'll do it anyways. So you've seen this map before. This is our service area. And for reference sake, you see our, Stanton Energy Center, the red squares are generating units. Indian River plant over on the coast, and the new OGS plant right down in Halawa. And then you see the green stars are the existing solar projects that are, they've been generating electricity now for some time. Taylor Creek and Harmony 1. And then finally, the yellow or gold stars are the projects that we're discussing today. Just gives you an idea of the reference geographically where they're located. Moving on to the next slide. Some of you may remember, Commissioner Chapin, you do not because you weren't here, but we showed the board this slide, and it was what we were seeing as far as the inflation impacts for the bill of materials site that the main ones for manufacturing of solar modules. Copper, aluminum, steel, polysilicon, and of course transportation, right, ocean freight. We were seeing ranges between 49% and 374%. So some massive impacts, inflationary impacts, based on 5 and 10 year history for those commodities. Just to put things in perspective, I'm going to move on to the next slide. So, as I mentioned, we're here today because we have finally some clarity on what the revised schedule and the pricing. We finalized negotiations with NextEra. As I mentioned, the new COD is December 31 of 2024 for both projects. The new total estimated cost for both projects is $265.9 million over 20 years. That represents an increase of 19.7% over what was originally approved. It is still very competitive to the current market. We vetted the market. We know of 5 projects out there, and we compare the pricing to those, and this is about a 10% less on average than those projects. And, 19.7% relative to some of those cost increases that you saw for the commodities, we felt that it still was a very, very attractive project. Finally, the last bullet, this is something that's very, very valuable. We are receiving also in exchange 2 5-year unilateral options to extend per project. So each project will have 2 5 years. It's our decision. It's not NextEra's decision to extend or not. It is at the fixed price. These are 20-year fixed price, and they can be 30-year fixed price, same price if we trigger the options. These options are worth millions of dollars. They're very, very valuable. So that's something that we feel very pleased with. At 30-something dollars per megawatt hour, to be able to hold that price for up to 30 years is pretty attractive. So with that said, slide number 6, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but the recommended action is for you to authorize the general manager and CEO to execute the 2 amended and restated renewable energy power purchase agreements, subject to final OUC legal review, for a total estimated amount of $269.9 million and for the 149 megawatts. And with that, I'll entertain any questions.
Go ahead.
Mindy, how do you go about adjusting the budget with such a huge price increase?
So these are operating costs. And so
Mindy, you want to go to the?
Yeah, sure. Purchase power agreements are operating costs. And so what we see is that these will displace current gas and coal costs as we transition these into the portfolio to provide our base retail load requirements as well as our resale requirements. So it would replace what we currently have in the fuel portfolio. I think, does that answer your question?
And then you have also some of the funding will be available in the following year, right?
So these are, again, they're operating costs, so we don't go out and borrow for them. They're covered through the price that customers pay. They are part of our fuel portfolio and reserves. Absolutely.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Mindy, while you're up there, so I know everything's volatile in terms of the prices of gas or anything else, but would you anticipate a savings?
So I don't think I would anticipate a savings because there's other components that go along with this, with energy storage that are still relatively new. What I would anticipate is less volatility in the long run as these become more stable commodities to provide energy services.
Okay.
Great. Any other questions?
I'm checking with my other experts okay, good.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jan. I'm going to ask Wade to come up on item A9. This is an update on the Osceola Generating Station. Wade's going to give you just a little bit of history as a reminder of the acquisition of those 3 peak units, give you an update on one of the units, Unit 2, that has come online, which is great, and specifically the funding here today is related to Units 1 and 3, as well as an element of the project that covers all 3 units. There is going to be a bit of a change request in here, but I'm going to let Wade sort of walk you through all of that. So Wade?
Thank you, Clint. Welcome, Commissioner Gross, Commissioners, Mayor Dyer. So we'll start off here with the
the portrait of the OGS facility. Some have visited and just thought it was a good representation of each one of the units. You can see 1, 2, and 3. So let's lead into a little bit about the background. OGS, Osceola Generating Station, is known as OGS, consists of 3 7FA, GE 7FA units, as we notate as Unit 1, 2, and 3. They've been in an extended outage since 2014. The Commission approved a purchase agreement on August 10th. We actually closed on September 28th of 2021. And then we had a multi-year phased approach for the maintenance and renovation of each one of those units. So with the authorization, the actual asset itself was authorized for $61.5 million. And then we had what we knew for maintenance, repair, and replacement work that had to be done between the power plant and the transmission team was $38 million. And just as a reminder, we had 2 blackout events in the industry, the 2020 event in August in California, and then the, as I think Lemoyne had already mentioned, the Winter Storm Uri 2021 Texas event, also in which we completed a cold weather exercise in December of 21 to make sure our robustness and our units and our assets were up to par. So in December of 2021, the board approved Unit 2's turbine to have its renovation. We looked at that project. We had a plan moving forward. In the spring of 22, we did some modeling and analysis for our load requirements and determined that we were not going to meet our requirement for load for OUC as a utility. The Florida Public Service Commission requires that we have 15% reserve margin as a municipality. We were slightly below that 15. So we made the decision to go and expedite the Unit 2 restoration. So instead of necessarily being later that year, to move it up in the spring, start the restoration. The additional funding was approved in June of 22. And this funding associated with moving the work forward was all within the original capital expenditure request of the $38 million. So just want to show a little bit of the work that was done during the actual renovation repair of the units. You can see those are this is the top side of a gas turbine combustor. That's where your fuel and air and things go in to create the flame, to make the heat for the compressed air to run across the turbine blade. So all those little plastic, looks like Ziploc bags and orange things, those were all piping that were connected off there. Looks like quite the spider web when it's connected, but we took them all off, have to inspect all of them, have to put them back on and leak check them. So this is the compressor itself, and it has 17 rows. It's important to know that part of the presentation, we're going to be talking about the right-hand side of the compressor, the larger blades, if you will, on those rows coming up. So this was inspected, cleaned up, put back in service, and actually during the week of June 6th, on June 10th, we were able to get to what we call full speed no load, which means you start the unit up. It's like starting your car, bringing it to idle, getting it warmed up, ready to go. We were, able to achieve full speed no load on June 10th. June 11th, we actually synced to the grid, and I think I got a pointer here. I don't know how well it works, but this just demonstrates on that date on June 11th, we were at 155 megawatts, so we got the unit on and ran it up. Everything worked out really well. We've been, maintaining the unit throughout the summer, and it's been part of the portfolio, if you will, for last summer, and it got us above the 15% reserve margin requirement. So in August of 21, the capital expenditure did include, in our estimation, what's called a hot gas path, HGP, on Unit 1, Unit 3's combustion inspection, a CI, and then some work on hydrogen seals, some relay replacements for NERC requirement, and then a controls change, upgrade from a Mark 5 to Mark 6E. And then what we have is an LCI, some starter motor repairs. Those were all estimated within the 38 million capital. So a little bit, not sure what happened there. Okay. Additional scope that we're going to talk about today was on units 1, 2, and 3. They're all part of what they call an 7FA original design. We have our insurance provider, FM Global, that has required of us to make some change outs on the compressor for what they feel is safe operation of the equipment and reliability for all 3 units. The purpose of this is to make sure we don't have compressor blades that liberate during the operation. Liberate is a nice word for coming apart and going through the machine, so which causes additional damage, repair costs, etc. It reduces the risk on us and FM Global by doing this. So what they have in the industry is known as a package 2+. So you replace the first 4 rows of stationary blades and the inlet guide vane controller, which has some enhancements that make it more responsive, that will keep those blades from being stressed and fracturing and liberating. So we went to our suppliers we felt were qualified in, providing not only the work but the components of this for not only the compressor improvements from the insurance, that's the S0 through S4 2+ enhancements, but also for the planned scope of work that we already had for 1 and 3, which is listed as, the hot gas path, the hydrogen seals, relay protection, Mark 5 to 6E, and LCI repairs. So with that, we're asking recommended action is that we provide a $4.2 million change request to the capital expenditure from the 38 million to make it a 42.2 for the insurance requirements for the S0 to S4 improvement. Within that is to provide a PO to General Electric. They were the low-cost provider, being able to meet the proposal requirements for not only just the compressor enhancement work, but the remaining work on units 1 and 3. That doesn't give us the entire scope of the plant. There's going to be some other work that has to be done a little later, probably later in 24, but that's going to get us the bulk of the work to be done. And then a PO to Burns and Mac that's going to be doing the relay protection upgrades and things. That's what I had mentioned before for $300,000. So that really concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Mindy, just verify the funding on this is already included in the 2023 capital plan, right? Or, I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I think the funding of this is already pre-approved in our.
There is funding approved for work to be done this summer and next summer over the next few years.
Okay.
What we're asking for is the increase in funding throughout the term.
Okay. And in the existing capital plan budget, I believe we have some funding in there, or enough, I should say, I don't want to use the word extra, but we can cover it in the capital plan for 20.
I think that's a fair statement, yes.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
So the 4.2 million additional because of the insurance company requirements?
Yes, sir.
Do we,
Which was not known at the time of the purchase. Correct.
we feel they are justified or they're just?
From an insurer's perspective, I see their argument. They have to treat the utilities with what they see throughout the industry, and the industry has had failures in there. We felt like we had a good mitigation plan, and quite honestly, they wouldn't support our mitigation plan. So we feel like we have to do this in order to comply. It's going to make a more robust machine. It's going to make the reliability, and it's one less thing to have to worry about inspecting in the future.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Wade.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wade. I'm going to ask Lemoyne to come up, and Eddie Fee will also join him on a joint presentation. Eddie Fee is our Director of Meter Services. This is a project related to expanding our water meter to the next generation type water meters. We've basically come to useful life on the existing AMI water meters, or AMR water meters. And so these gentlemen are going to give you an overview of where we have been and what we currently have in place, and give you an overview of the scope, the multi-year scope project that we have in place to upgrade our meters to be more innovative and advanced technology, as well as to enjoy some additional features that we're excited about as we do this. And this is going to be on A12. A12. So Lemoyne, Eddie, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. I'm smiling because you basically did my whole presentation here.
I gotta stop doing that.
Sorry about it. I had to. I'm sorry.
He's known for that.
I'm sorry. Well, thank you, Clint, President Gross, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. As Clint mentioned, Eddie and I are going to give you know what he said, right? So, just to level set, I wanted to make sure we're kind of all on the same page with respect to the evolution of water meter technology over the years. So prior to 2013, our water meters were read manually, right? So essentially they were just mechanical meters with no communication capability whatsoever. So as the technology over the years improved, AMR solutions were developed in the industry, right? So in 2013 and 14, we did a full AMR water deployment within our water service territory. We also did a full AMI deployment on the electric side of the house in 2012 and 2013. At that time, the AMI technology did not exist for water meters. And when Eddie comes up to speak, he'll kind of go over the technology differences between AMR and AMI. So because of our water AMR deployment, we were able to reduce our staff from 34 personnel to 6. And those 6 employees currently help support the drive-by meter reading for our water service only territories, and they also help to maintain meters out in the field. So our current AMR infrastructure, as Clint mentioned, is reaching the end of its useful life. In addition, there are also technology and data limitations with the AMR technology. So this technology has the capability to, or the AMI technology, which over the past 10 years has significantly matured during that time. So this AMI technology for the water space has the capability to enhance our customer experience, improve overall operational effectiveness, and it also helps us with our water conservation efforts. So what I'm really trying to emphasize here, Commissioners, is that the AMI technology in the water space is the most up-to-date, latest and greatest next generation technology that's out there in the industry today, and it's really going to be a big step for us moving forward. So I would like to now bring up Eddie Fee. He's going to speak in more detail of why we're moving towards this AMI solution. He'll also talk about the technology, the benefits behind the solution, and also he'll talk about project timeline and cost. So, Eddie?
Thank you, Lemoyne. Good afternoon, Commissioners, President Gross, Mayor Dyer, Clint. On this slide here, I want to point your attention first to the map on the left-hand side. In the yellow shaded areas, this depicts areas where we have both electric and water service OUC together. So there's complete overlap. However, if you follow the red outline in other areas, you can see in the red shaded areas, there's parts of our territory where we do not have electric distribution and we only have water. So from an automated meter reading perspective today, these two different areas cause us to essentially have to manage 2 different AMR processes and technologies to be able to just get data in from these endpoints. In the areas shaded in yellow, again, where we have that overlap between electric and water, we have electric distribution there. We have an AMI electric network where we can use the electric meters to essentially grab data from the water meters and propagate that back to our OUC systems for billing and other services. However, in the red, as Lemoyne alluded to earlier, we have to do drive-by meter reading because we don't have that infrastructure there to collect data from those meters. The chart on the bottom right there, you can see at a high level that while the electric AMI network pulling in the data is superior to the drive-by solution, it does have its limitations, and I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into those here in a moment. And then in summary, I just want to say both of these solutions are what we refer to as one-way AMR technologies, where they're just shouting out data. So in the drive-by situation, we drive the truck in that area. It sends out a wake-up tone and essentially says, any water meters nearby, please give me your data. It just shouts it out. And on the electric side, the water meters in that area shout out the data, the electric meters pull it in. Okay? So beyond, the advancement of technology in this space and obsolescence of these technologies, why would we recommend moving to a next generation water AMI solution? Again, Lemoyne alluded to this, the aging infrastructure is a big driver here. We deployed a lot of the water metering and AMR assets back in that 2013, 2014 timeframe. Quite honestly, a lot of that, we were an early adopter. A lot of that hardware was what you could call bleeding edge technology, and it's reached the end of its useful life. Additionally, those protocols on the communication side are the better part of 2 decades old, and are becoming obsolete. Additionally, there's just that inherent dependency with these AMR solutions with water, where you either have to, again, have electric meters in the area or do drive-by. But as you'll see here in a moment, these next generation water AMI technologies eliminate those dependencies, and you can talk to meters virtually anywhere. When you look at this from a cost optimization perspective and the opportunities there, one big thing here is the maturation of the AMI water market and the battery technologies together are going to allow us to shift to a 15-year depreciation on this investment versus before we just did a 10-year. Again, that's supported by the maturation, and we're also seeing it with the warranty coverage from the vendors in the market. We're seeing 20 years worth of warranty coverage on this hardware. That was absolutely unheard of 10 years ago. It's going to allow us to, when all said and done, eliminate our drive-by meter reading operations and save costs there. And we'll be able to now push firmware updates to these endpoints remotely over the air, where today, if I need to update firmware on an endpoint to keep it from becoming obsolete, essentially, I've got to roll a truck out to each one of those endpoints to update them. When you look at opportunities to further enhance our customer experience and water conservation efforts, one area we have what we call portable meters, which are essentially a common application you see with the developers and pest control companies where they're filling their water tanker trucks. We'll issue them a portable meter that's basically on a hand truck where they can pull meter from our distribution system via hydrant. Today, those customers have to go in every month at a certain period of time and enter their reading in for us to be able to accurately bill them. Well, what you're going to see is with these next generation technologies, I can talk to those meters anywhere, even outside of our service territory, so the customer doesn't have to do that anymore. Another thing here that's important is we'll be able to provide the same level of service to all of our water customers. Remember from the previous slide, those 2 AMR technologies that we manage today have different levels of data that are coming in. So unfortunately, our customers today, depending on what part of our territory they live in, don't get the same level or granularity of data. So with the solution we're going to recommend here today, it'll be ubiquitous across our entire water service territory. It won't matter where you live anymore. Again, all this increasing granularity of data, one, we'll be able to get 15-minute usage down to every 15-minute increment. The accuracy of the timestamps, the frequency of the data coming in is all going to be improved with this next generation technology. So those are going to enable us to enhance leak detection models that we're already doing today and get those even more refined, and further enable our response to consumptive use permit requirements and any other water conservation related analytics. It's also going to help us with break to fix time. So we're going to be talking to these meters so frequently that it's going to further enable our ability to quickly identify any type of hardware issue in the field and get somebody out there to fix that. Lastly, I'll say these next generation water AMI technologies are going to allow us to layer in additional features in the future. A few of those that are more important would be remote disconnect functionality on water. That used to not be, 10 years ago that wasn't an option, that is now. So that's a feature set that's going to be enabled through this technology investment. And we'll be able to do pressure and temperature monitoring on select service points throughout the territory. So through a competitive bid process and a cross-departmental evaluation process, we've selected Badger Meter's AMI cellular water solution as our next generation water AMI technology. The battery operated endpoints in the field are compatible with pretty much any type of water meter in the market. They're easy for our field technicians to provision and set up in the field. And they transmit that 15-minute level usage multiple times a day back to the utility. They communicate over LTE cellular network protocols and provide those two-way communication capabilities. Now I can talk to that meter remotely and update firmware and whatnot. The cloud-based software platform here securely stores all the data from these endpoints. We can access that through a user interface, APIs, application programming interfaces. And it's a software as a service model where I don't have to worry about figuring out how to install that application at the OUC data center and maintaining that. The vendor's responsible for updates to the system and whatnot. Similarly, on the network side, it's a network as a service model where, in this case, I don't have to maintain a communications network to bring in water meter data. It's all part of the service offering. On the far right, that graphic, if we were to overlay that to the service territory map on that second slide, that shows all of our water meter service points across our Orange County territory where the vendor's done a propagation study with their primary cellular provider. In this case, it's AT&T. And AT&T is showing that we've got more than adequate cellular coverage to talk to all these endpoints across our territory. We do have a few members of the Badger team here with us today. If you just want to wave and be recognized. Appreciate you guys being here. So as you can see at the bottom, this solution here checks all the boxes, if you will. And then in the green check marks, you see those additional feature sets, right, that we don't have today. So, beyond the RFP evaluation process, which was very rigorous, you might ask, how can I recommend this solution to you guys with high confidence? So we actually have a little bit of experience with this. So a few years back, and this was largely a lesson learned from our AMR deployment from a decade ago, my team put together a strategy to prepare for next generation AMI water, knowing that these assets are aging, we're going to have to replace them at some point. How do we prepare ourselves, right? One of the important parts of that strategy was a pilot effort. So our intent was to pilot various cellular, fixed network type AMI technologies in the water market that were starting to become prevalent. That included, among many others, a small pilot with the Badger Group on their cellular technology. I know it's hard to believe, but a supply chain crisis popped up in 2021 with our legacy AMR hardware provider, where essentially they're like, we can't make any more units, and we're not sure when we're going to be able to. So it put us in a position to say, well, at that point, that was the only one of the pilots that had been implemented successfully, and very successfully at that matter. Let's expand the utilization of that pilot so for new services and replacements so that we can continue to provide core meter-to-bill services to our customers, right? So at this point, as a result of that, over the past 15 months or so, that's all we've been using, new services and replacements. We've got 17,000 of these in the field as we sit here today, which is about 10% of our total water meter population, and it's working really, really well. So that gives us high confidence that this is the right way to go. Even though, having said that, even though this direct experience is going to help us, we know that there's a lot more required for a successful project here. So an effort like this to implement an AMI solution this broadly requires a merging of several components. Some of the more obvious across the top there, right? You've got the AMI hardware and the technology. You've got to couple that with compatible water meters, and you've got to have the labor in the field to support that deployment process. But it's far more than that. So we're taking into account, from a meter-to-bill perspective as an example, even though we've got 17,000 in the field that have covered the vast majority of our billing permutations for different rates and jurisdictions and whatnot, We want to make sure we cover all of those different permutations that we haven't hit yet. We want to make sure that we have an efficient way to manage user access and security with the system. A very key area for this project is going to be customer communications. We want to make sure customers are educated up front about what this project's about, why it's necessary. We're going to be communicating with customers ahead of visiting their home. Hey, within the next few weeks, we're going to have a crew out there to change out your meter and AMI. Here's what it means. Here's what to expect from the contractor. For example, in most of these field visits, there is going to be a brief water outage required, so that'll be part of the communication process as well. On the supply chain side, again, that's going to be one of the biggest risks to a project like this that we're going to have to continue to monitor and mitigate as we move forward. One way we're mitigating that on the front end of the project is we're going to be procuring about 4 months worth of materials, meters, and modules and whatnot to have on hand before we even start the field deployment, because we're going to be communicating to customers. We don't want to be in a situation where we have a false start, have to pause the project because we ran out of material. And lastly, internal change management, being able to work with internal processes and employees to make sure that this technology is adopted in the right way.
Hey, Eddie, before you move on the customer piece, do you want to just give an indication for your typical residential meter? You said the word brief, but can you just expand a little bit?
No, great question. Yeah, on your typical residential, the outage would be 15 to 20 minutes. Yeah. And our protocol would be, as with sort of our normal operations, if there's going to be an outage. In this case, we're going to have communicated with the customer ahead of time via text, letter, etc. But our contract technician will be trying to make contact in the field before the outage starts. Somebody could be at home, right? And then they'll minimize that outage time as best as possible, as safely as possible, and then get the customer back on. Yeah. Here you see a high-level timeline for the project that shows really the work to be done from this point forward. On those first 3 lines in the green, gray, and orange, I hit on some of those items before: customer communications, ramping up, and validation and testing. You'll see on that bottom line in the blue, our field deployment is currently projected to start around July of this year, and it will extend for about 30 months. The first several months of that field deployment phase will be targeted at that water-only service territory, so we can get the early benefit of being able to eliminate the drive-by meter reading operations that we talked about before. And then at the end of the day, we anticipate being done with the project around the end of 2025. From a cost standpoint, this slide here summarizes the overall operating and capital expenses for the project. 2 notes there. On the operating side, that this does include the first 5 years of the network and software as a service fees. And then of even more important note, we are partnering with the City of Orlando on this project on the reclaim side. So as part of the project, we're going to be upgrading old incompatible reclaim meters, upgrading the AMI communications on all those reclaim meters to this new solution. And then as that's done, the city will reimburse us following installation of those. So in closing, here's a summary of the recommended actions for agenda item A12. I just want to take a quick moment to give a shout out to our strategic sourcing team, who has been a huge help in this project, and my leadership team for all they've done to get us to this point. With that, I'll open the floor for questions.
Oh, it's a win-win, and aside from some of the benefits are conservation. So, very good.
Thank you.
Any other presentations?
Thank you, Eddie. I have no further presentations unless there's any questions by the commissioners.
All right, before we vote, are there any members of the public that we're aware of who have not already spoken would like to address?
No, sir.
No, sir. All right. Well, are there any other questions or comments from any of the commissioners? Okay. Is there a motion then to approve affirmative items A1 through A28?
So move.
Second.
It's been properly moved by Commissioner Calvert, and the mayor have second to approve affirmative items A1 through A28. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. We're into the new business section, and according to my agenda, there is no new business.
That is correct.
So we will move on with our presentations at this point. The first presentation that we have will be the Audit Committee report. And since I'm chair of the Audit Committee, I guess I'll be providing the Audit Finance Committee report.
Yes.
The Audit Finance Committee meeting was held on December 15th. We gave you a preview in the last meeting, but was held on December 15th, 2022. The committee reviewed the results of operations, noting that income before contributions in the amount of $108.6 million was consistent with the 2022 operating budget. The committee also reviewed the draft 2022 audited financial statements, the 2022 five-year financial and statistical report, and all associated key financial strategic metrics. After which, the committee was presented with an overview of the draft audit results from Ernst & Young and our external auditors, Ernst & Young, noting that the results will continue to demonstrate strong financial stewardship by OUC management. We then also saw quarterly financial and compliance reports, which were provided by management, including the Energy Risk Management, Internal Audit, and Financial Services. And after those reports were given, our meeting was adjourned. Financial report. Mindy, Ms. Brene, will you present the financial?
Sure. Good afternoon, Commissioners, President Gross, Mayor Clint. I am going to share with you the results, the results of the January financials. What you have in front of you here shows that retail and resale revenues are slightly ahead of budget, and that is really thanks to larger than anticipated wholesale sales. We garnered about $5 million more than we had anticipated, so that is really the draft that we have going forward. We have not yet used, Commissioner Chapin, you were not here at the time, but last year we also had a bit of windfall from warmer than normal weather. We were able to place those additional funds in reserves, and so we were planning to use those as we had adjusted the electric prices in October to help offset rising fuel prices. We have not yet used any of those funds. So we still have that $25 million available to help us through the rest of the year. But at this point, the wholesale revenues have helped us. Offsetting that, we are slightly behind budget on the ancillary revenue side as the GOA project was delayed. We thought we'd start in the beginning of the fiscal year. So we thought we'd start last year. We were 2 months behind, so that's part of why we're behind on that revenue number. In the end, at the end of January, and you'll see this in the next commission package, we are on track with budget. Our unit department expenses are trailing, which they typically do in the first quarter of the year. Happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Browder, do we have any legal issues to report? Thank you so much. All right, well, we now move into our comment section. Overall general appearance, do we have any members of the public? Again, Glenn?
No, sir, we do not.
Okay, well, if we do not have any at this point, I will then move forward with our general manager comment.
Thank you, Commissioner Mills. Appreciate the opportunity. I do have a few items I would like to share with the board. First of all, I would like to just announce our new Chief Operating Officer, Attila Mitzdi, who you had a chance to meet here in our front row. Jan Asteru, who's retiring, was gracious enough to give me sufficient amount of notice so we could go through and work to find his replacement, which is certainly not an easy task. Jan will be here for our March meeting, so we'll have a chance to say a few more words about Jan. But Letitia and I and the team went into a search to find, certainly his replacement. Attila comes to us, and he's been now here starting his 3rd week. But he comes from us from Sacramento, California. Worked for the 6th largest municipal utility in the country, Sacramento Municipal Utility District. We have a great amount of respect for that utility. We have continued to partner with them in years past. They're part of the large Public Power Commission, just as OUC is. So again, we've got a great amount of respect for SMUD and what they are doing, certainly as a utility. As a part of Attila's role, he spent nearly 10 years in senior leadership there. Spent a short period of time as the interim chief operating officer. Certainly was responsible for their distribution and transmission assets, strategic, part of strategic direction of the organization was certainly a critical part of that too. So again, we're just pleased to have Attila. Jan and Attila are going through some transition. Again, we have until that early April timeframe as he begins to understand the full scope on the electric and the water, chill water, energy services and lighting as it relates to all the operations and the operational planning, the operational excellence, the safety, reliability side. So again, we just are here to welcome Attila and welcome to the team, Attila. So thank you.
Welcome. And by the way, that lapel pin looks good on you.
Next, I would like to also welcome our newest commissioner, Commissioner Roger Chapin. So welcome to the board. Looking forward to certainly working with you. Certainly, Commissioner Chapin is replacing, Commissioner Greg Lee. Commissioner Chapin has a long history within our community. And so we certainly look forward to working with you. And on behalf of the entire team, again, I would just like to say welcome, Commissioner Chapin. And then lastly, I would just like to say I appreciate the board's support for the reappointment. It's been 5 years now. So again, thank you for the support and the reappointment from each of you. So thank you for that. And those are my comments.
All right. Well, we'll move through with commissioner comments. And Commissioner, I'll start with you.
Okay, and before I make my comments, I have a question concerning item 23, the Robinson Street electrical. Any idea approximate when we will see that opening?
Well, Commissioner,
I know there have been issues like the tanks and the dirt and.
So I would like to answer that, but you know what? I'm going to have Janice Osani come to the podium and give you an update on that project, if that's okay.
Appreciate it.
We are expecting May 1st as the go-live date.
Good.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
That wasn't a hard question.
That's short and sweet. I know, I couldn't.
You didn't even have to get up for that.
I'm not going to answer them anymore.
I'm reading.
I got a great team. I'll let
I'm
them.
reading the project and I'm saying, this problem, then find some tanks that the radar could not find. And then
Okay.
Now the dirt is dirty and, what else,
Listen, it's been a challenge, right? I mean, this is our first, charging mobility facility, right? And, we're very excited about the scope for OUC. We're very excited about this project for the community, right? This is one of 8 that we have planned, but it was the first one, right? The first one for OUC, first one for the city of this magnitude. And it's going to be a great project. We've all learned a lot. And again, right there in Robinson, right down the downtown core, right there next to I-4, it's going to be great for our community and folks that are passing through our community, right? And DC fast chargers are an important part of EV, expansion. So, Linda, Janice, the entire team, they've had a few bumps in the road. They're very committed and excited. I'm sure we'll have a nice little celebration as we get closer to it. And myself and all the other EV customers will be there to charge up, and it's going to be exciting. But yes,
Great.
May 1st, let's go. We're going to be charged up, and we're going to do it. So
Can I jump in there
Sure.
just for a second? So I assume that you guys are exploring federal grants because there is a ton of money in the Inflation Reduction Act for charging systems.
yes. So we are actively, this one we received a state grant And so, we have an entire team that's, Mindy and Sam and others are working through the two different, the IIJA and IRA are looking for a variety of, opportunities, whether it's EV or energy storage. So we're trying to gear up a team. We brought in Deloitte, Mayor, as you may recall, and got approval by the board to do a gap analysis. I would tell you historically, we weren't positioned strongly to take advantage, but there's so much money out there. We realize we've got to get our organization structured to go after these. There's a lot involved, right? Writing them and going after them, and then the backup and the compliance. And so we've realized with the volume of dollars, and so we're in parallel trying to evaluate what's there as well as get ready internally.
Yeah, but whatever we spend in doing that, I will make
Yes.
it tenfold.
And that's exactly what you said in the board meeting.
I forgot.
So we were going after it for sure.
Great.
So, talking about Navy, I get Clint one of my car magazines, I get a few, and it concerns how it has changed in, in years, and it shows there the map, and the connection, and one, and then the next one, and the next one. So it is changing, for the better.
Okay.
On that, I drive a big horse with a lot of horsepower, but for the EV, it's good. On my comment, it shows what our utility is. The continue getting recognition, continue getting awards. The customer champion, the utility customer champion, that's one right there. The people selected us to do that, And then we get the other one, the Communities 2022 award from FMEA. Again, shows, what we're made out of. OGS units, that's a diamond in the rough. And it's a diamond in the rough, you got to find that place. You really got to know where to look for that thing. It is tough to find, but it's there and it was found, and kudos to OUC for finding those beautiful 3 units there. The metering project is great. Going to reinforce us, from different areas there. We're pleased, from again, the situation with environment, and also I think Mindy will be able to count her, her beings better by having that process there. And on my last thing, Roger, welcome.
Thank you.
To the group.
All right, Commissioner Gross. Any comments?
Hey, folks. Yeah, hey, thank you for that. I'll make this really brief then. Ditto on everything that was just said. Let me just call attention to a couple things that I just love today. First, thank you for the water AMI overview. That was a lot of information. It's great. Of course, we all know that this becomes more and more critical over time as we have to eventually deal with water scarcity. So this is really important technology you're putting in place. Love it. Thank you also for the reminder that Osceola Unit 2 is operational, and if ever needed, it can be called into service, which is exactly why we went forward with that unit. And then just lastly, I also want to welcome Commissioner Chapin, and I'm looking forward to meeting you in person here at the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mayor?
So likewise, congratulations on the awards, and I think the most important awards are those that say the customers value the service that we're giving them. It's great to get all the other awards and accolades, but to know that the people that you are serving appreciate you, I think is the most important of all. Welcome, Tilla, to the family. I want to congratulate President Gross and First Vice President Mills on the reelection, and I want to welcome Roger and say, wow, already elected to the leadership in the very first meeting. I don't know if anybody's ever come in and
fastest
been
promotion ever.
First Vice President or Second Vice President.
Yeah, exactly.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, sir. Any comments?
I would, first of all, like to say thank you for the warm welcome. Thank you to the mayor for the nomination. Thank you to the board for the interviews and taking time to learn a little bit more about my experiences. And thank you to the OUC professionals I've already had a chance to interact with. Very enlightening. So far, my experience has confirmed what I've known about OUC for 52 years, and that's a dedicated board, a professional staff, and emphasis on safety, culture, and community. I've got a lot to learn, and you all are going to learn about me as well. And I do think OUC is the reliable one. I want to make sure it remains that. not only as it relates to power, but also water. So I think there'll be, from time to time, I'll ask, are you getting everything you need from us to make sure that we've got reliability and safe drinking water and all that good stuff? I do think I know we're not in for disruption, we're in the middle of disruption, like a lot of industries and a lot of companies. I've got some experience with that. Industries that are old, that are highly regulated, and that people think can do a better job, are those that are ripe for that type of disruption. So I think we should welcome that disruption and that exercise. I think that probably means some greater public scrutiny. I think it means competition, especially from people who think they can provide some cleaner energy. And I think it's going to be new voices and new political perspectives that we should welcome all those as a public agency. So as a commissioner, I just want to make sure OUC is up for the challenge and that our leadership does not lack the resources to provide the highest level of safe, reliable, transparent services to our community. I want to thank you again. I hope I can add value and match the level of professionalism and commitment that I've seen on this board and from the dedicated OUC employees that I've met already. So thank you very much.
All right. Well, again, let me welcome both of you. We're so happy to have you on the team and looking forward to our interactions with you as well. And Commissioner, we welcome you and looking forward to your input.
Thank you.
We have a diverse board, different skill sets, technology, finance, and human resources, community service. So you'll add that other dimension to it, and we look forward to getting that input from you.
You have the power of the prayer.
That's right. And when all else fails, we lift our eyes to the hills. All right. So now I believe that's it. I'm not going to be redundant. Again, I'm always excited about our community recognition. And I think that hats off, kudos to all of you. As you said, the team makes that happen, and those in the trenches. And you guys got to make sure in your meetings you pass that word back to the individuals who will never see our presence, but they need to know that we greatly appreciate the effort. Okay? And looking forward to the new technology and the new things that we're doing. I'm always excited about that, and we'll continue. And again, congratulations, and looking forward to another great 5 years with you as well.
Thank you.
If that's it, if no other objection, the meeting is officially adjourned at 3:22.
Wow, that was fast.
The under.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. You take care of yourself, bro. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day.
I expect the street to continue.